This is the Video Game Votary. Show your support and hit subscribe right now. What's going on, Video Game Votary Vanguard? It's your boy, the Video Game Votary, here with another episode. So I've decided it's been a lot of talks within the gaming community amongst different content creators, just about tools utilized when we talk about video game collecting. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And for the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about collecting. So as you guys know, if you've been following me from the very beginning, I set out to kind of collect as many video game consoles as I can. Now, my initial interpretation of how many video game consoles were available to the public, and I kind of just had this initial thought of what I thought was it, and come to find out, in me getting more and more involved into collecting, there's a whole lot more video game consoles than I ever imagined. Now, at this point, we're a little over a year of me actually hardcore collecting. I've collected well over 60 consoles, and I just recently passed a landmark with my physical game copies. So I want to give you guys some tips, and this will actually be a small pickup video as well, because I've accumulated a lot of games over the past couple months that I want to share with y'all and do pickups videos because everybody like that. So to find out the tips on video game collecting, what I use, where I shop, and how I tend to shop, sit back, subscribe, catch the vibe, and find out next. All right, guys, so we're back. So as I was talking about in the intro, I want to give you guys some tips and tricks on video game collecting. Now, it really kind of depends on the area that you live in, because different areas may be more beneficial to, let's say, a thrift store or pawn shop as opposed to some other areas. You know, again, early on when I started my YouTube channel, I had a segment called Thrift Store Thursdays where I went to the thrift stores and I did pickups. But that has since slowed up. It's a lot of just kind of repeat titles. I was doing like Goodwill, and if you guys are familiar, Goodwill has an online auction. That's something else you can utilize, but sometimes they can be pricey. Now, my initial objective when collecting, I was trying to be as thrifty and cheap as possible, to be completely honest. And again, there's more than one way to collect. There's more than one different collector. So for instance, I know some people who go for super rare games, and they spend a whole lot more money than I do on video games. And the amount of money that they may spend on one, if I spent that same money, I'll probably have a couple hundred games. And I'll explain on, I'll get more to that and give you more of an explanation in just a few here. So you have to decide, do you want more rare games in your collection? Or do you just want a large collection where you can kind of just on any given day say, hey, pick this game out your collection and give it a shot? So a couple of my tips are, one, you can always utilize your local thrift shops. Now, again, it's different areas. Mine in this particular area is kind of dried up, but I know plenty of people that I see online that go to thrift stores and they have some major gems that they find that are regularly picked up on the cheap. So shout out to them. If it's beneficial in your area, I strongly recommend taking full advantage. So why not go ahead and do that? Another one, which part of this video is going to be a pickups video, is pawn shops. I got this stack of games right here. I went to one of my buddies at work put me on to it, where they had Wii games, PS3, and Xbox 360 games. Each game was $1 each, which is an amazing value. And then I got a couple PSP games here for $2 each. So what you could do, even if you don't decide to keep them, or they're sports titles, which I kind of stay away from, but I had to keep in mind, which I got a tip from my buddy Steve Wright, shout out to him. He'll pick up games for the cheap, so I can go into that pawn shop and get some of those sports titles or not undesirable titles for $1. And then when GameStop, you got to utilize GameStop, shout out to them, go to GameStop and trade them in, especially when they offer double or triple the value. They do have days like that. So that's an easy way to pick up. And if your pawn shops in your area, if they are fruitful and you can find great games for great value, then why not? But you will run into issues where a lot of pawn shop owners are kind of oblivious to the video game market, and they kind of want to charge outrageous prices for games and consoles alike. So you could try to negotiate and maybe build and establish relationships there, and hopefully it works out for you. And sometimes it just doesn't. They just make their price and they won't budge. Unfortunately, they use eBay, and they will literally find the highest price game or copy of a game or console, and that's what they go off of, and you cannot do that. We all know that the ones that are in the gaming community, they're not really there. They just kind of do things. And then same with the thrift store. Goodwill uses their online auction, but they're kind of more aware, whoever does that department. So you kind of won't get too many deals there, and a lot of people paying attention to that. So another thing, what I personally have utilized a whole lot, I have utilized GameStop. And last year they were kind of on and off with the sales. You kind of had to catch them the 4 for 10, which is an unbelievable value. You're going to see some of my pickups here, and I'm going to do pickups videos. I'm probably going to do about 10 at a time because I don't want them to be too big, because I know a lot of people probably won't watch it fully through, and my watch time is pretty important. So I try to keep it within 10, 11, maybe 12 minutes max as possible. So we'll be breaking them down, but you guys are going to see some of my pickups. And this is just over time. I had a recent, probably about December, it was a GameStop closing in the area, and I was able to pick up some games for less than $1. Some are sports titles, but again, some can be used as trade bait, giveaways, etc. So I took advantage of that. Also online, GameStop, every day they do deal of the day where they offer some kind of game, headset, accessories, some kind of merchandise on sale. And a lot of these games I got from GameStop's deal of the day, where you pay online, you go to the store, pick it up, or you can have it shipped to you either way. So I've also taken advantage of online. There's also websites like eBay, Craigslist, OfferUp. Facebook Marketplace is also a great place where you can kind of negotiate things and kind of work things in your favor. Another thing that I've been taking a lot of advantage of in recent, probably like the past year or so, was GameStop's 4 for 20 as well as their 4 for 10. 4 for 10 being the better of the two, and it looked like they're kind of leaning towards it being a regular thing, because right now, you know, we're coming up on the release of the next generation of video game consoles. So if you are looking to either build your collection that's kind of have a foundational, where you just want a nice set of games to look at, or if you're a big fan of the Wii U, PS3, or Xbox 360, this is prime time to start collecting for it, because right now GameStop's doing 4 for 10, and basically each game is, and they're $4.99 and under, and you kind of got to dig through. You can't just go in there, only see a couple. Shift through those games individually. Also, go to different GameStop locations. Different GameStop locations have different games, and they also have different games for different prices. For instance, I seen a game at one store was like $6.99, so obviously that doesn't apply to 4 for 10. Well, I went to another location and found the same game for $4.99. So therefore I was able to apply it to the 4 for 10 deal, where basically all the games are $2.50 each. So I took full advantage of that. And even if you put yourself on a budget, you don't have to break the bank to have a large library of games. I've accumulated over 1,000 games in about a year, which is insane, but it wasn't hard to do. I didn't spend a lot of money. I could very easily put myself on a $20 budget and go into GameStop or a different one each week, and I'll pick up 8 games for $20. You can't beat that. You can't beat that at all. So that's one way that I take advantage of it, and I absolutely encourage you guys. Then on top of that, they also had times where they were doing buy two, get two. They're good for doing that. And there's plenty of perks of utilizing GameStop and their Power Rewards program. So don't shy away from that. So those are my tips moving forward. Take advantage of GameStop. The 4 for 10 and the 4 for 20 look like it's going to be sticking around for quite some time, because it came back and then it hasn't left since I seen it. And I think it's going to be an ongoing thing, because I imagine they're trying to liquidate out PS3 and Xbox 360 as well as Wii and Wii U to make room for the next generation consoles when the games get released for that. So go in these GameStop stores, and don't just go on one, go in as many as you can. You'd be lucky. It's a lot of times where I thought that I've kind of cleaned out the 4 for 10 section of games, but I've been lucky enough to go through and find some games. And I know some people kind of think, well, you're just buying games just to be buying them. And that may be true to an extent, but I do get the thrill of an idea of just coming down here in my game room and just say, all right, I'm going to try this game today. And you just never know. You can't always go off of reviews and how the bigger companies like to review games and if they say they're bad or not. It really takes you to just go and try it. And at the end of the day, if I spent $2.50 on the game and it sucks, oh well, it's $2.50. So enough about that. Get into these couple games that I picked up from the pawn shop. So I'm gonna basically, this portion is going to be a pickups video, and we're going to show you some gameplay. Thank you for watching. Follow me on all social media platforms at Video Game Votary.